The Alaska Milk Run is one of the most fabled flights any aviation enthusiast can take. Starting in Seattle and ending in Anchorage, the Milk Run began in the 1940s to connect smaller communities along the Alaskan coast that don't have enough demand for their own dedicated service. Milk Run flights exist all around the world, but the Alaska Milk Run is by far the most famous due to its breathtaking scenery and unique destinations. The Milk Run name is given because these flights don't only just bring in passengers, but bring in perishable goods and deliver time-sensitive items like mail, as none of these Alaskan communities have roads that lead anywhere, so the plane is the only quick means of transport. However, we're currently at Washington Dulles, about to board a United flight heading to Seattle to begin our Milk Run. Just like the Milk Run today, this United flight would be on a 737 MAX 9, and I flew these flights before the 737 MAX 9s were grounded over safety issues concerning their emergency exit door plugs. With that knowledge not yet in my mind, I found the 737 MAX 9 to be a very comfortable aircraft to fly, and I enjoyed all the views of the American continent before making a smooth touchdown in Seattle. Seattle is the primary hub for Alaska Airlines, operating to over 100 destinations, and it's from Seattle that these Milk Run flights start. Our Milk Run today will begin here in Seattle, taking us on the longest leg of the journey up to Ketchikan. From Ketchikan, we will then head to Sitka, followed by Juneau, and then finally the most populated city in Alaska, and another base of operations for Alaska Airlines, Anchorage. And here, just pulled into the gate, is the aircraft that will be taking us on those 4 flights, an Alaska Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 9, registered November 954 Alpha Kilo and delivered to Alaska in December 2022. To get varying views each leg of the journey today, I will have different seats, but for this first leg, I will be nearer the front overlooking the engine. The seat features more than enough legroom, but unlike newer United and Delta narrowbodies, no IFE screen, which is definitely points down for Alaska Airlines. But not before long, we began our taxi out to the runway, and on our way I noticed this non-ER variant of the 737-900, distinguishable by the lack of any winglets. These are quite rare, with only 52 being built as opposed to the 505 of the ER variants that were built. After taking off from runway 34 right, we began our journey north towards Canada. We were then served some juice and a snack before I was then sent this cheese board from my friend Ben, who was flying with me but sat in the back of the aircraft. And then we began our descent into Ketchikan. Ketchikan is Alaska's southernmost major settlement, and it was used by natives as a fishing spot before it was established as a town in 1885. Today it has a population of around 8,000 people, and as you can probably see, one of its most profitable businesses is catering to tourists on board cruise ships that frequently visit during the summer months, with over 1 million people visiting the town each year. Ketchikan Airport has an unusual layout, with the runway being set at a higher elevation to the terminal, meaning the taxiways are sloped on the way to the parking stands. As we pulled into the gate, next to us was this Alaska Air Cargo 737-700F, a former passenger aircraft. After the freighter left, we were joined by a 737-900ER before it was announced that we were delayed, waiting on the arrival of another aircraft that had passengers on board set to join us on our Milk Run flight. With this delay came an opportunity to take a look at the flight deck, where we were welcomed by 2 very friendly pilots who were more than happy to show us the unique features of the 737 MAX 9. It was also interesting hearing their take on the 737 MAX. Both pilots agreed that it was a bit of a brick to fly, and that both pilots preferred and missed flying the 737-400, saying that the 737 line peaked with that variant. After a while, the aircraft we were waiting on arrived, this Alaska 737-700 from Wrangell, with connecting passengers on board. So after they boarded our aircraft, we set off for our second destination, Sitka. Sitka has one of the oldest Western histories in Alaska, being established in 1799 by the Russians, and is also the location of the Battle of Sitka, which took place in 1804 between the Russians and native Alaskans. Today, Sitka has a population of 8,000 people, and the airport features an odd approach due to mountainous terrain. Because of our hour-long delay at Ketchikan, we were now running behind schedule, so our turnaround at Sitka was a very quick one. Alaska Airlines don't really have much competition up here, however the only other airline to operate into these more obscure Alaskan destinations is Delta, operating summer seasonal flights from Seattle to Sitka. Our next stop today would be Juneau. Juneau is the state capital of Alaska and has a population of 32,000 people, making it the third largest city in Alaska behind Fairbanks and Anchorage. The city was once the site of a native settlement believed to be over 1,000 years old, and when the Russians arrived in Alaska, they didn't do much to disturb the natives, trading with them and establishing a church. It was only after Russia sold Alaska to the US that in the 1880s, Americans settled on the site believing there to be a large gold deposit nearby. It was this gold that attracted more and more people, making it a large mining town before it became the capital in 1906. Being the only passengers to join the crew for the whole flight, we got to know them a little bit, and so for the last leg we were upgraded to first class. First class on Alaska is more like a premium economy with wider seats, a footrest, a tray table in the armrest, and some water served just before departure. And this would be the last leg of the journey and one of the longest as we headed to Anchorage. This departure was one of the best, getting an amazing view of the Mendenhall Glacier, which sits in the mountains above Juneau. Once we reached cruising altitude, we were served a snack followed by a beverage of your choice, and being first class, this would be served in a glass. Despite clear golden skies as we flew, we descended into a wet and rainy Anchorage airport. After seeing all these Alaskan communities up close, it definitely makes me want to come back, but actually step foot in these towns and cities to see what they have to offer. But stay tuned, as in my next video we will be heading on board Alaska Airlines one more time to visit another very unique Alaskan community. But until then, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.